Hello dear friends, welcome to Gate Academy Global. So before starting today's session, I would like to take the feedback or the concurrence regarding the quality of video as well as audio. If it is perfect, just write perfect over the live chat, so at least I'll have the fair idea that yes, the proper quality of video as well as audio got transmitted to you guys. Yes. Anyways, in the same sequence, we are moving forward into the 11th lecture of the engineering mathematics, where we are learning each and individual concepts from very basics. And if you'll recall what are the different topics or what are the different basic topic which we have covered till 10th number of lectures. So we were talked about the logarithmic function, exponent function, straight line, tangent, the problems related to the straight line as well as tangent. We discussed about the parabolic function as well as the circular function. In last video I was discussing about the modulus or the modulus function. Could you understand what I am saying? In last video I was discussing about the modulus function. In the same sequence, in today's lecture we are going to take around 4 to 5 number of important problems where the modulus function would be dealt within an integration. That means you can say we are going to deal with the integration of the modulus function. So in the same sequence, let me move ahead and bring the working board over here. The first question goes like this. The first question has been the integration of mod of cos of x dx, where the limit of the x has been from 0 to pi. I need to get its integral value. May I know what would be your approach and what would be the precise answer you would be getting after solving this integration? Obviously, the functions which were involved within the integration had been an absolute function. See, what I am saying, whenever you have been dealing with the integration, until and unless you do not exactly know the behavior of the mod of cos of x, or for the time being mod of f of x within the limit of lower to the upper, you may not be able to smash that problem out. So I would like to ask from each one of you, what is the expected value of the integration of mod of cos x from x is equals to 0 to pi? So I would suggest to each one of you, just focus over the cos of x over the xy plane. May I know how the cos of x looks like? Obviously, it would be oscillating signal with the constant magnitude as well as frequency. Here goes 0 radian, here goes pi by 2 radian, and here goes pi radian, and so on and so forth. It keeps going on. Just a minute. Here goes the pi radian. It has been the curve of cos of x. Now if I take the modula or the absolute value of the cos of x, what happens? All of the magnitudes which were there towards the lower values of y, or for the negative value of y, would be popped up towards upside. So what is the change you will be having once you had to draw the mod of cos x taking the reference of cos of x? All of the lobes which were there towards downside would be popped upside. So as far as the graph of mod of cos of x is concerned, there would not be change in between 0 to pi by 2, but in between pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, definitely the swing over towards downside would be popped towards upside. There would not be any difference in this span. Yes, again it would be popped towards upside. There would not be any difference in this swing. So one thing is quite sure, within the limit of integration from 0 to pi till 0 to pi by 2, mod of cos x remained as a cos of x, but from pi by 2 to pi, what happened? This negative lobe was popped towards upside. That means the negative value was getting multiplied with the cos of x. So as far as the integration from 0 to pi is concerned, cos of x, mod of cos of x would be dealt as a cos of x from 0 to pi by 2, and similarly would be dealt as a minus of cos of x from pi by 2 to pi. So whatever the answer you are getting, that's going to be the bestmost answer. So whenever you have this sort of problem, you must have the fair idea how the mod of f of x would look like over the xy plane, and where the nature of the function is going to change. Obviously, the nature of the function has got changed at x is equals to of pi by 2. So obviously, the integration has to be taken in parts, taking the reference from 0 to pi by 2. Then I will be moving from pi by 2 to pi. Could you understand what I am saying? So each one of us must be agreeing what I exactly wanted to write over here. First, limit of the integration would be 0 to pi by 2. Mod of cos x would be dealt as a cos of x d of x itself. Then I would start from pi by 2 and would go till pi, and here mod of cos x would be dealt or treated as minus of cos of x dx. You had to get this value separately, I would like to ask one more important thing. After doing the integration, just a minute, after doing the integration, after doing the integration, the result what you would be finding over here and over here, would it be same or would it be different? What I am saying, if you take the integration of cos of x from x is equals to 0 to pi by 2, and if you take the integration of minus of cos of x from x is equals to pi by 2 to pi, whether the value would be same or would be different, it would be very same. You yourself would be able to see that. If you will take the area occupied by this swing from pi by 2 to pi, and similarly from 0 to pi by 2, obviously they have been occupying the same area. That's the first thing. And what about the polarity? As the lobe has been maintained towards the upside or towards the first quadrant, obviously both would be treated as positive. Both would be treated as positive. So I would suggest to all of us, you can calculate this value. Whatever the value you are getting out of this calculation, you should get the same value after doing the calculation over this complete integral, obviously taking the reference of minus of cos of x. So just focus over this integration. How will I calculate this? Easiest way we can use, which we have been following in class 11th and 12th. We would be taking the integration from x is equals to 0 to pi by 2. Here goes cos of x dx. May I know what used to be the integration of cos of x? Obviously, which used to be sin of x. Which used to be sin of x. And here the limit goes from 0 to pi by 2. Let me feed the upper limit, which had been sin of pi by 2, and then let me feed the lower limit, which had been sin of 0. So once we take the reference of sin of pi by 2, the simply worth we get is gonna be 1. So obviously the worth which we are going to get after doing this application is 1, and here also it's gonna be 1. And once we'll add them together, the result is simply gonna be plus of 2. The result is simply gonna be plus of 2. Could you understand what I'm saying? Even many of the students would have one sort of doubt. Sir, how you are saying that after doing the integration and that to be the minus of cos of x from taking the limit of pi by 2 to pi, you will be getting the same answer. If you want, you can check by yourself. So here goes the integration of minus of cos x. Minus has been taken upside or outside, or even you can swap the limits also. So the limit had been from pi by 2 to pi. You could have written this as pi by 2 pi. Yes, that also you can do. And now instead writing minus of cos x, you can simply write this as cos of x dx. Again, the same procedure has to be followed which we have done it in class 11th. The integration of cos of x used to be sin of x. Yes sir, it has been sin of x. And here the limit has been taken from pi to pi by 2. If I take the reference of sin of pi by 2, that has been what? 1. And similarly sin of pi had been 0. So the result what we are getting after putting their upper limit as well as lower limit had been simply 1. So the answer had been precisely 2. And I know many of the students, what's the mistake they may do? They would just remove the modula out of this expression and they would do the integration from x is equals to 0 to pi of cos of x dx. The worth would become 0. Why? Because if you are not taking the modula, the lobe which had been there towards lower side would remain towards lower side, and if you will take a complete integration in once through from 0 to pi, there would be the area towards upside as well as the same area towards downside, and once you'll add them together, the value would become 0. Camera focus nahi hai kya properly? Just a minute. So Manju is saying, sir, camera is not focused properly. Just wanted to know from each one of you whether really you guys are finding this problem. Everything is fine, no? So Manju, I would suggest to you probably the quality setting of video maybe in 420p or something, so you can raise to 720, because the highest quality of video which we are transmitting from here, that has been 720p. So I would request to change it to the 720p. Okay. Anyways, this has been the first problem, and the answer which we have got it for this particular problem had been precisely 2. And you can expect this sort of problem in future. In the same sequence, let me move forward. And let's take the problem had been second problem of the day. And here again, we are going to deal with a integral calculation, where the function which has to go for the integration had been a modulus function, absolute function. Let's take the function had been mod of x sine of x dx, where the x goes from 0 till pi. May I know what would be the best most answer? Okay, let me move forward. If we'll be discussing about the behavior of mod of x sin x over the xy plane, how it would look like. Obviously, it would be a upper curved facing parabola, or it would be keep increasing in nature, which we have discussed in the last video. Let me take the reference of xy plane. Here it has been x-axis, here it has been y-axis. How the x of sine of x would look like? Obviously, it would be expanding sine of x, taking the reference of envelope of x, which we have seen earlier. How it would be? It would be sort of this. Obviously, it has been plus of x, it has been minus of x, and now the sine of x would take the reference of its envelope. So it goes like this. It has been 0 radian, it has been pi radian, it has been 2 pi radian, 3 pi radian, 4 pi radian, so on and so forth. Once you take the modulo of it, what happens? Obviously, x sin x can take its positive as well as negative value, but once the modulo had been taken, definitely the worth of mod of x sin x cannot be negative, it has to be positive. As far as the range from 0 to pi is concerned, x of sin x had been positive, that means there would not be any change over here, but from pi to 2 pi, what is happening over here? The curve has to shifted towards upside. The curve has to get shifted towards upside. The same thing goes in between this, So what happens over here? You had to shift this curve towards upside, and once you shift the curve towards upside, -1 would get multiplied with the function, because it had been folding, taking the reference of positive x-axis. So this has been the curve of mod of x sine of x. Mod of x sine of x. We wanted to have the integration from x is equals to 0 to pi. May I know how would be the nature of this function? Obviously, it would be same as x sin x, because in between 0 to pi, there was no any change as far as the mod of x sin x is concerned, or merely x sin x is concerned. So rather writing anything else, you can just jump into this problem, taking the problem as the integration from 0 to pi. Rather writing it mod of x sin x, simply you could have written this as x times of sin x dx. And whatever the answer you get out of this, it would be your best most answer. It would be your best most answer. Could you understand what I am saying? Similarly, this range would have been from x is equals to of 0 to 2 pi. Like what I am saying, if the problem would have been the integration from 0 to 2 pi of a modulus function, mod of x sin of x dx. So obviously the integration has to be taken care in parts. Why? Because from 0 to pi, the nature of mod of x sin x has been x of sin x, and similarly in between pi to 2 pi, the nature of the function mod of x sin x had been minus times of x sin x. Why? Because the earlier curve was towards lower side, but now has got flipped towards upside. So what I am saying, if you really want to know the integration of this curve, the integration has to be taken in parts. In between 0 to pi, the nature of mod of x sin x had been x of sin x, and similarly in between pi to 2 pi, the nature of mod of x sin x had been minus times of x sin x dx. And now here the integration in parts can be taken place. You can do the calculation by the integration in parts. Tell me what's the best most answer we are getting. And now one doubt I would like to ask from each one of you. Whatever the result you are getting from the first term and the result which would be produced from the second term, would it be same? Would this term would be greater than this, or would this term would be greater than this? Let's take the result which have been produced by the first term had been A, and the result which has been produced by the second term had been B. First, I would like to ask from each one of you, the polarity or the sign of A and B, would it be positive, positive, negative, positive, positive, negative, or negative, negative? Tell me. Both would be positive and positive, because in between 0 to pi, The lobe or the area which has been manufactured, in the first quadrant, obviously the value of y has been positive, so the area would be dealt as positive. So once you'll do its integration, there is no doubt as such, the worth which will be coming out is gonna be positive. Similarly, if you travel from pi to 2 pi, is still the area which has been manufactured towards the upside of the x-axis or towards the upside of the y is equals to 0 axis. The b is also going to be positive. Manju is saying second term greater than first term. Obviously the second term is going to be greater than the first term, because you yourself would be able to ensure the area which has been occupied by the mod of x sin x in between pi to 2 pi has been intensively large in compare with the area occupied by the mod of x sin x in between 0 to pi. So whatever the answer you are getting, that would be your best most answer. And you can expect this sort of problem in your GATE examination. You can put this problem as a utterly highly rated problem which can be experienced at any moment of time in GATE examination. Agreed now? However, till this point each and everything must be clear to all of us. So two questions we have taken based on the concept of integral calculus, and where the functions which were chosen has been deliberately chosen as absolute function or modulus function. First had been the integration of mod of cos x from 0 to pi dx. The blunder the person can do, and that has been they just be removing mod of x. Why they would be removing mod of x? I just wanted to say what's the psychic you can have, what the people would say, sir. The limit had been towards a positive value of x, that is why the mod has been removed. No, my dear friends, this is not the case. Until and unless you are not familiar enough with how the mod of x, mod of cos x would look like over the xy plane, you may not be able to know how the behavior of the function has been changed and where are the critical points has been belonging. Like here the critical point had been at pi by 2, next critical point had been at 3 pi by 2, so on and so forth. Similarly, in the same sequence, we have taken the next question where the integration of mod of x sin x dx has been taken from the x is equals to pi. But here, once you look into its xy planes curve, you'll get to know as far as the mod of x sin x is being concerned, in between 0 to pi, mod of x sin x has been treated as a x of sin x alone. But once you go from pi to 2 pi, what happens? The nature of x sin x had a lobe, obviously it had been a lobe towards the negative side, but now getting multiplied with a minus sign. So had shifted towards upside. So I would expect from each one of you, from here onwards, each of us must be able to calculate this value. You can expect this problem in your GATE examination. In the same sequence, we are going to take the next question. Let's take the third question had been, we had to take the integration, obviously with the next modulus function. Let's take the function had been, which function we can take? Let's take it has been mod of x minus of 1 dx, where the limit had been taken from minus 2 till plus 2. Alok Kumar sir, I am not getting it. Just wanted to ask Alok, did you attend my last class? Because each and everything is super relevant. Until and unless you do not know the functions which were taught in the last class, you may not be able to follow each and everything which really I wanted to communicate over here. That is why I used to say, if you really want to enjoy my video and if you really want to grasp something great, you have to follow each and everything from the very consequent manner. All of just wanted to know, did you attend my last class or not? Because each and everything are being connected with the last class. Yes. Now, it has been the next question. Manju Sadhukan is saying the answer would be 0. Is it the correct answer? I would like to ask from each one of you, we had a function, the 2 times the modulo absolute is being applied over the mod of x minus of 1, absolute function has been taken, and over the x itself the absolute function has been taken, and the integration has been taken place from the minus 2 to 2. One answer I have got it over the live chat, the answer had been 0. May I know what would be the best most answer and how will you calculate this problem? Almost similar type of problem have appeared in computer science engineering probably around 5 years back. My dear friends, the answer cannot be 0 at any case. See, why the answer cannot be 0 at any case. It has been a problem where the integration has been taken place from minus a to a of a function. That's a different story together. The function is a type of modulus function. Let me bring the function out, which had been f of x is equals to of mod of x minus of 1. If you feed x is equals to of x as well as x is equals to of minus of x, in both of the cases the worth of the function is not going to change. Worth of the function is not going to change. Either you feed x as x, so it remained as a mod of x minus of 1, and even if you feed x as minus of x, what happens? The modular would be taken of minus of x, obviously, which would become mod of x itself. So the result had been very precise and same, which has been mod of x minus of 1 and then complete modular. So obviously it had been an even function. It had been an even function. And if it had been an even function, it's an integration from a certain finite value to another finite value. Fx dx cannot be 0. No, not at all it can be 0. Not at all it can be 0. So the another important property which we can use over here, integration from minus a to a of f of x over dx, where the f of x has been an even function. That means it's going to carry the same amount and same polarity of area towards the positive value of x as negative value of x. And yes, the area has to be taken care in symmetricity. That means I need to go towards back side taking the length of a, I need to go towards front side taking the length of a. So obviously both of them are going to carry the same area. So rather doing the analysis from minus a to a, what I could have done, I could have simply calculated this value as 2, the integration from 0 to a, and here goes f of x dx. F of x dx. Till this point, sir, can we calculate using RMS value? Yes. Anyways, this is not the right time to discuss about those things, but I will try to explain using the concept of the RMS also. See what is happening in next. The integration from x is equals to of minus 2 till plus 2 of mod of x minus 1 d. Integration starts from 0 to the uppermost value, which had been 2 dx. But still the same problem would remain prevailed. May I know what it is? Until and unless you are not able to digest how the mod of x minus 1 is looking over the xy plane, you are made for nothing, at least for this sort of problem. No. Tell me how the mod of x minus 1 would look like. That is why it was revealed unfold in the last video. And the student who have attended my last video definitely must be able to see, must be able to visualize how this curve would look like. Still, how many students are live? The 8 number of students are live. I would like to at least have one answer from you guys. 0 cannot be the answer. One answer I have found from the Manju, definitely the 0 cannot be the answer for this given problem. See how the mod of x looks like. It has been upper facing V-shaped curve which had been symmetrical taking the reference of y-axis, and obviously the cusp gets formed at x is equals to 0. And now the mod of x is getting subtracted with the 1. That means the complete V-shaped curve would be shifted towards downside taking the reference of y-axis. Now again the modular has to be taken. What is happening over here? The certain part of the modular curve or the mod of x curve had got down, now would get multiplied with the minus sign and get flipped towards upside. So it is going to make a sort of W shape. Which we have seen earlier. So what I would request to each one of you, just focus over its curve over the xy plane. Let's take, here goes the xy plane. It has been the vertical axis, it has been the horizontal axis, x-axis and y-axis. At very beginning we had to focus over the mod of x, how it would look like. Obviously it would look something like this, and similarly it has to get shifted towards downside taking the reference of 1 unit. It would get shifted by 1 unit, and now you have to take its modulus. There would not be any change in this range, but the part which have gone down towards the third and fourth quadrant would be popped up towards upside, So may I know how the curve or the structure would look like? Probably each one of us must have been understood how the curve would look exactly. It would be sort of W curve. W curve. If you really want to take the references of the critical point, first x is equals to of minus 1, the another had been at x is equals to 0, and another had been at x is equals to of plus 1. Why I am calling them as the critical point? Because they are the point at which the nature of the function got changed. Like the earlier function was a straight line but had the negative slope, but changed to the positive slope, negative slope, and again positive slope, positive slope. And may I know in which particular region or area you wanted to have the area? Obviously you wanted to calculate the area under the curve in minus 2, it would come somewhere here till x is equals to a plus 2, which would come somewhere here. Here goes x is equals to of minus 2, and here goes the x equals to of plus 2. And you yourself would be able to judge it has been a type of even function, because once you'll fold either the left hand side of the signal or the right hand side of the signal taking the reference of y-axis, they would get overlapped. They would get overlapped. Okay. So if you really want to know the area under the curve from minus 2 to 2, why don't we focus over the area under the curve from 0 to 2, and then you can just do the multiplication with 2, because the area which had been towards left hand side, towards right hand side had the same magnitude as well as same polarity. Same magnitude as well as same polarity. So let me focus over this. May I know what would be the area over here? It has been made as a right angle triangle. May I know what used to be the area followed by the right angle triangle? That used to be half is getting multiplied with the base area, which has been 1. And similarly, the height, which has been 1 over here, which had been simply 1 getting multiplied with 1, that's 1, getting multiplied with a half, that has been half. That has been half. Similarly, if you go ahead taking the area which has been occupied by the given function in between 1 to 2, again it has been a right angle triangle. How it has been a right angle triangle? Definitely the worth which we have, it has been an abscissa. It has been an abscissa. So here, if you'll be talking about the base which has been found with the right angle triangle, that has been the subtraction between 2 to 1, which has been 1, and here also it is simply going to be 1. Simply going to be 1. So it would be possessing the area which had been half. So as far as the area is concerned, from 0 to 2 for the given function had been 1 plus of, half plus of half, that has been 1. The 1 would get multiplied with 2. The result which you are getting is simply going to be 2. The result which you are getting is simply going to be 2. Till this point, probably each one of us would have thought clarity. If you want to calculate this value with the help of analytic method, or the method which we used to follow while doing the integration, even that also can be used. How? You could have taken the integration of a straight line in between 0 to 1, and similarly in another segment, in another step, you could have taken the integration of a next straight line from 1 to 2. If you want, we can do that. There is no issue as such. So I'm going to do over here, the 2 had been 2, the integration has to be made from 0 to 2. The function had been mod of x minus of 1 dx. The 2 had been common, so take this as common itself. Take this as common itself. Now focus over this straight line. Can you tell me what would be the exact equation which would be followed by this straight line? See, slope had been negative. Obviously, how it had been negative? As the value of x is increasing, the value of y is keep decreasing. If you are moving over this straight line, you yourself would be able to understand, as the value of x is keep increasing, the value of y has been keep decreasing. That's first thing. That means the value of m, which has to be slope of this straight line, had been negative. That's the first thing. That is the first thing. Secondly, if we'll move forward, my dear friends, if you'll talk about the change in x versus change in y, you yourself will be able to understand the change in x were precisely 1 unit and change in y were precisely 1 unit when it was followed from this point to this point, or 0, 1 to 1, 0. So as far as the slope of the line is being concerned, that has been change in y, that has been del of y divided by del of x, which has been 1 with the negative polarity. So the slope had been minus of 1 into x. What about this c? C is nothing but the value at which the straight line crosses through the y-axis, and the y-axis has been crossed taking the value of 1, so obviously the value of c would be precisely 1. So let me focus over this straight line. The curve is gonna be minus x plus of 1 dx, the integration would take place from x is equals to of 0 to 1, 0 to 1. In the same sequence, you had to occupy the next area. And once you will be talking about the occupied by the next area, obviously the nature of the straight line is going to change a bit. May I know what's the new nature of the straight line you are getting? Now the slope has been changed from negative to positive. As you are increasing the value of x, the value of y is being continuously raised. The value of y has been continuously raised. That's for sure. That's for sure. May I know what would be the slope? The change in y had been 1. So obviously the slope for the straight line had been del of y divided by del of x, which is precisely equals to 1 itself. Positive, negative, positive. Yes. So here it's going to be m of x. The m has been plus as well as 1. So simply it would be x. May I know what would be the value of c? See what is happening over here. If this straight line to go backward, may I know exactly where it's going to strike? Obviously it's going to strike at x is equal, sorry, y is equals to minus 1. So the value of c had been minus 1. And here the integration has to be taken place from 1 to 2. Has to be taken from 1 to 2. So whatever the result you get, that is going to be best most answer. Whatever the result you are going to get, that is going to be best most answer. Anyways, I am not going into the detailed analysis for this calculation and all, because this has been done several number of times when we were there in class 11th and 12th. But once you'll be getting the answer out of this, no, this value would be very same as plus of half. This answer would be very same as plus of half. Half and half would get added together, would become 1, and the 1 would get multiplied with 2. The result what we are getting is simply going to be 2 itself. It's simply going to be 2 itself. So may I know which methodology was comparatively better methodology? Obviously the area under the curve with the help of right angle triangle. And I know many of the students, what they would do, they would try to calculate the area for this, for this, for this, for this, and end of the day somewhere they would do mistake. So what are the important crux as well as the important golden point we can retrieve while solving this problem? First of all, whenever you deal with the integration of a modular function, try to understand whether it is an even function or odd function. If it is an even function, obviously if the integration has been taken in the common interval like minus a to a, you can just take the integration from 0 to a or minus a to 0, and you can just multiply its outcome with 2, because your calculation is going to save a lot. Like in this case, that has been happened. That has been happened. Secondly, until and unless you are not able to draw the given modulus function, most of the time the answer is gonna be wrong. Like here it has been. Like here it has been. Like if you'll be talking about the nature of this straight line, the slope had been minus. Obviously, the m had been 1. Here x minus of 1. Here it's gonna be plus x plus of 1. Here it has been, minus x plus of 1, and here it had been plus of x minus of 1, plus of x minus of 1. So till this point each and everything must be clear to all of us. So few of the golden points must be known to all of us while doing the integration with the absolute function. With the absolute function. Could you understand what exactly I wanted to communicate? This is the important point where most of us must have the strong grip, must have the strong grip. In the same sequence, let me take the next question. Let me take the next question. And the problem had been integration of mod of x minus 1 dx. The integration has to be taken place from its lower limit, it starts from 0, goes till 2. So the 7 to 8 number of students are live who have been watching my videos. I would expect at least two number of responses on the live chat. What would be the precise most answer for this given problem? What would be the precise most answer for this given problem? And I would expect nobody should touch the pen as well as copy. Because see what is happening, at very beginning I had been a little bit slow, but end of the day you had to raise your speed, and sometime even just watching the problem you must be able to smash that problem towards 6. Could you understand what I am saying? Many of the students who might be having a good idea or who might have done the preparation earlier, they would think, sir, why we are going slow? No, my dear friends, I am not going slow. At very beginning, when we were discussing about the scratch of the engineering mathematics, basics of the engineering mathematics, the important tools which are getting involved with the engineering mathematics, we had to go bit slow. Once we are done with those basics parts, definitely we are zoom. We are going to fly. We are going to fly. Tell me, what would be the best most answer for this given problem? I would expect from each one of you, the 7 number of people have been live without touching pen and copy. You must be able to get this answer. You must be able to get this answer. It's a very easy problem. Until and unless you are not able to visualize this modular function over the xy plane, you will not be able to get exact answer over here. May I know how the mod of x minus 1 would look like? Obviously, it's gonna be upper facing V shape. And now if I would ask the next thing, this upper facing V shape would be symmetrical around x is equals to which particular real value? It would be symmetrical around x is equals to of plus 1. X is equals to of plus 1. Could you understand what I am saying? Why? If you do not understand why the mod of x minus of 1 had been symmetrical taking the reference of x is equals to 1, you can refer my previous video. You can refer my previous video. No, Viresh Bhan has said the answer had been 0.5. Probably this is not the correct answer. Anyone else? Anyone else? Only one answer I have got it over the live chat. I expect at least two more number of response, and then I would try to smash this problem within a single step. Within a single step. And just would like to communicate what I was thinking within my mind, so that you guys would be able to improve your accuracy, your speed, and end of the day, you are going to rock in a gate examination. In the gate examination. Manju, again you are saying 0. How, Manju? It is not at all possible. No. Dear Manju, what I am saying, the mod of x minus 1 indicates whatever the area they are going to be fabricated in the first or the second quadrant, and if the area has been fabricated in first and second quadrant, those areas has to be counted as positive. They cannot subtract from each other. Manju have said the answer as 0. Anything else? Anything else? See, whenever you are attending my class, no, you need not to fear that the answer which you are posting over the live chat had been the wrong or had been the correct one. It's like a discussion mode. Whenever we are asking, or whenever I am asking any sort of answer over the live chat, just be free. Whatever the answer you are getting, no, you can post it over the live chat. See what is happening over here. Everybody should focus over the modulus function first. It has been mod of x minus 1. Mod of x minus 1, obviously, sir, it has been a linear polynomial. So it's gonna be a straight line. Once you take x minus of 1, how the x minus 1 would look like? Obviously, it would be a straight line, would have slope as plus 1, that is for sure. And similarly, it's going to strike over the y-axis at y is equals to of minus 1, and it's going to strike at x is equals to of plus 1. At x is equals to of plus 1. And once you'll take its modular, what would happen? At x is equals to of plus 1, it would be formed, it would be a upper facing V-shaped curve. And now, if it has been upper facing V-shaped curve at x is equals to a plus 1, you had to take the integration from x is equals to 0 till x is equals to 2. You yourself would have been seen that the area which would be occupied in between x is equals to of 0 to 1, and similarly in between 1 to 2 would be same in magnitude as well as polarity. Could you understand? That is what I am saying. No, try to build the concept which is going to be used in your gate examination. Just lingering here and there, it's not going to save you, at least in gate examination. What I am saying, let me take this shape. It has been x is equals to of plus 1. And how the mod of x minus of 1 would look like? That most of us must be knowing, because we have dealt with this sort of problem in the last video. It would be sort of this. If you really want to know how the curve would look like, for x lesser than equals to of 1, the minus sign is going to get multiplied with the x minus of 1. The result would be precisely minus x plus of 1. And here it's gonna be x minus of 1. X minus of 1. But you really wants to go till that point? I don't feel that it's required at all. Just focus over your limits. The lower limit had been at, the lower limit had been at x is equals to of 0, which used to be y-axis, and the upper limit had been at x is equals to of plus of 2. X is equals to of plus of 2, and you yourself would be able to understand this curve had been symmetrical curve taking the reference of x is equals to 1. So if you calculate either this of the area, either this area, and you just multiply with 2, you would be getting the complete area which has been occupied by the given function from x is equals to of 0 till x is equals to of 2. May I know what would be the area which would be occupied? My dear friends, it has been striking to 1, it has been 1 over here, it has been a right angle triangle. So the area which would be occupied, over here is simply going to be half into the base length. The base length has been 1, and similarly the perpendicular had been 1. The perpendicular had been 1. Half getting multiplied with 1 as well as 1, the results 1. Sorry, half. The half and half is getting add on, and the result what you would be having, it's simply equals to of half plus of half is equals to of 1. Is equals to 1. So I would just want to communicate one important thing. So the student who could not solve this problem using pen and copy, they had to improve a lot. That has been the ground reality. You had to learn so many things, and you had to stick to the basics of the engineering mathematics. Until and unless you are not able to solve this problem without touching pen and paper, you had to work a lot. That is what I am saying. No, sir, it was a V-shaped curve. Taking the reference of x is equals to 1, we had to take the area which starts from x is equals to 0, goes till 1, and goes from 1 to 2. Obviously, it has been a right angle triangle. The first right angle triangle would be occupying the area of half, and the second right angle triangle would be occupying the area as half. The half gets added with the half. The result which we will be having is simply going to be 1. So, would like to ask from each one of you, is this part clear to all of us? If it is clear, just write clear over the live chat, so at least I'll have the two-way communication that you guys are following whatever I want to teach over here. In the same sequence, let me move forward. And the next question has been a comparative, tougher problem. Here I need to take the integration of second degree absolute function, which had been the mod of x square minus of 1 over dx, where the integration has to be taken place. Let's take from minus 2 to plus 2. Tell me what would be the precise most answer for this given problem. So I would expect from each one of you, the student who have been attending my lecture since very beginning, or maybe would have attended the last video, they could have smashed, or they may be able to smash this problem within a fraction amount of time. How the x square of minus 1 would look like, and how the mod is going to affect the nature of x square minus of 1. Tell me what would be the best most answer. Tell me what would be the best most answer. See, the x square had been an upper facing parabola taking the reference of y-axis. That means taking the reference of y-axis, x square is going to be a symmetric curve, and minus of 1, what does that mean of it? That means the complete parabolic curve has got shifted by 1 unit towards downside. Obviously, it had been over the y-axis alone. And now if you are taking its modula, what is happening over here? The part of x square minus of 1 which have gone into the third as well as fourth quadrant would get flipped. So how the structure would look like, which we have already seen earlier. So now this is not the right time to discuss the same thing again and again. I would request to each one of you, the student who have been following my engineering mathematics should maintain a proper copy and try to revise before attending the next class. So how the curve would look like? Just a minute. The curve would look something like this. And the critical points are going to be x is equals to of minus 1, x is equals to of plus 1. And you have been focusing over the area under the curve which starts from x is equals to of minus 2, and goes till x is equals to of plus 2. See, whenever we used to deal with the integration from minus a to a, no, try to figure it out whether the function falls under the even or odd nature. Because many of the time the functions may not be even or the odd. But at least this problem has been falling under the even nature of the function. Even you can see with the help of its xy planes curve, or even you can see with the help of the mathematical formula which we use in case of even validity. What it has been, f of minus of x has to be equals to of f of x. Once we will be feeding minus of x instead the x, what is going to happen? Minus of x to the power of 2 would be simply x square. That means the nature of the function had remained same. So rather taking the integration from minus 2 to 2, my another approach would have been taking the integration from 0 to 2, and whatever the result we getting, just multiply with 2. That means rather calculating area in 4 different part. Why I am saying in 4 different part? Because in between x is equals to minus 2 to minus 1, the nature of the curve was something different. In between minus 1 to plus 1, the nature of the curve was something different, and in between 1 to 2, the nature of the curve was something different. So what I would be doing, I would just be focusing over the area under the curve from 0 to plus 1, and once we are done with this, we would be focusing over plus 1 to plus 2. And whatever the result we are getting out of this, we are going to multiply with 2. May I know how the area would be calculated? For the calculation of the area, we had to find, just a minute, for getting the area, we had to find the function first. Tell me what's going to be the best most answer. See, earlier it was upper facing parabola. Which type of curve it was? X square minus of 1. But now what had happened? X square of minus of 1 has got flipped, taking the reference of x axis. That means complete x square minus of 1 got multiplied with the minus sign, as we have been doing earlier. So as far as the nature of the curve is concerned, in between minus 1 to 1, it has been precisely minus times of x square minus of 1. And if you'll go beyond minus 1 or the plus 1, the nature of the curve had been very same as x square minus of 1 and x square minus of 1. So as far as the area which has been occupied by this function from x is equals to 0 to 1 is concerned, we had to take the integration of minus times of x square minus of 1 from x is equals to 0 to 1, and then the x square minus of 1, the integration has to be taken place from 1 to 2. So here the result would be 2 times. First you would be taking the integration from x is equals to of 0 to 1. May I know what would be the function over here? The function is going to be minus of x square minus of 1. Here goes dx. And similarly in the same sequence, if we'll move forward, what is going to happen over here? You will take the integration of the function. The function had been x square over dx. The lower limit is going to be x is equals to 1, and the upper limit would go till x is equals to plus of 2. Agreed? No? Yes, Manju. Perfect. So I would expect from each one of you, try to get the value of integral from the first term as well as from the second term. Whatever the answer we are getting, we will add them together, and end of the day we would be multiplying with 2. And would like to ask one more important thing. The integral value which we'll be getting after doing this calculation as well as this calculation, would it be positive or would it be negative? And can be positive or negative? No, it would be positive alone, because you have been moving towards the lower to upper side of the limit, and the area which has been bounded by the curve has been towards upside of the x-axis. So obviously the worth which you will be calculating from here as well as here, it would be precisely positive. Why I am giving this hint? Because many of the times what we do while calculation, we do certain mistakes, and if you are getting the answer in terms of negative, definitely somewhere the mistake has been done. See what is happening over here. If you are focusing over the integration of x square, it would be x cube divided by of 3, and here it goes minus of x. The minus sign definitely would be outside this minus sign. And now here goes the integration of x square would be x cube divided by 3. The integration of 1 had been x. And now the limit has to be taken place from 1 to 2. 8 answer probably. Manju, this is not the correct habit. Whatever the exact answer you are getting, try to write that. because this probably is not going to work in gate examination. You had to be highly accurate, highly accurate. Tell me what would be the best most answer. See what is happening over here. Whenever you feed the value as 0, no, definitely the first term as well as the second term is going to be smashed out. So just focus over this term. See what is happening over here. If the x has been fed as 1, so simply it becomes 1 to the power of 3. That's nothing but the 1 divided by 3. 1 divided by 3 is getting subtracted with 1. It would be minus 2 by 3. Yes. It would be minus 2 by 3. So here it would be minus 2 by 3. Minus 2 by 3 is getting multiplied with a minus sign, would be simply equals to of 2 by 3. Would be simply equals to of 2 by 3. In the same sequence, let me move forward. Let me move forward. See what is happening over here. Here, once I would be feeding 2 over here, the 2 has been raised to 3, that has been 8. 8 has been divided by 3. So here it has been 8 divided by 3 minus of 2, minus of 2. Now here goes minus. Now the lower limit has to be fed in. 1 to the power of 3 had been 1 divided by 3, obviously it would get subtracted. It would become minus of 1 by 3. It would become minus of 1 by 3. In the same sequence, now what is happening over here? 1 has to be fed, and now 1 has been fed over the x cube divided by 3. It's turned to feed over x. So already you had the minus sign, and once you are getting operated with the minus sign, the minus and minus would get plus. So here we are getting the result as plus 1. Here we are getting the result as plus 1. Till this point, nobody should have any doubt as such. And 2 by 3 has been as it is. See what is happening over here. Minus 2 by 3 plus of 1 obviously would get subtracted, which would become minus of 1. So here it goes 8 divided by 3. Minus of 1 by 3 minus of 1 by 3 would become minus 4 by 3. Minus of 4 by 3. So end of the day, the result which we are getting, 8 minus of 4, that would be 4 divided by 3. The LCM would remain 3 as they have got the same value towards the denominator side. So 4 plus 3, 4 plus 2 would become 6. 6 divided by 3 would become what? How much it is? 6 divided by 3 would become 2. 6 divided by 3 would become 2, and now end of the day the 2 has to get multiplied. Tell me whether we are getting the same answer or somewhere the mistake has been made. Tell me whether we are getting the same answer or somewhere the mistake has been made. Probably the best most answer what we are getting, at least for this problem, had been precisely 4. Had been precisely 4. Anyways, this is all about today's video. In tomorrow's video, we are going to proceed further. And there also I would be discussing about the basics part of the engineering mathematics. Probably in next 2 to 3 days, we would be able to cover all of the basic required part of the engineering mathematics. And then we would go ahead with the certain topic basis calculations. Okay then, this is all about today's video. We would be meeting in next video tomorrow precisely at 9 p.m. Obviously, we used to spend around 1 hour in daily basis. Tomorrow also at same time, 9 to 10 p.m. Till then, bye-bye. Take care. Good night.